Well, I guess the opening, I didn't reset it after our last go round, so we are off to a fantastic start. Now, I guess let me know if you guys can hear me. Can you? All right. Since nobody's saying you can't, let's go ahead and get started. Welcome to the Mission Ready Men Briefing, where masculinity has not been recalled and faith has not been neutered. Today is Thursday, February 12th, the year of our Lord 2026. And this is not just politics. It's spiritual warfare and suicidal empathy dressed up as progress. So we're done pretending, we're done pulling punches, and we are never going to apologize. So grab your therapy dog and give him a hug, because the truth is about to sting. We keep getting told that we shouldn't notice the patterns that are emerging. We see different headlines, sometimes in different countries, different policies, but the same instinct keeps getting suppressed every single time. We're told to ignore the warning signs. We're told to just let them redefine obvious truths. They call concern hate. And then when something breaks, which it inevitably does, they want us to pretend that nobody could see it coming, that it was completely out of the blue. But this is not, we're not going to be outraged. It's about the simple question: what happens when the world, when institutions, when entities reject reality? Because the truth always collects, the bill always comes due. So let's get after it. The first thing I want to talk about, there was a tragedy, mass shooting in Canada, Tumbler Ridge. There have been conflicting reports. Some reports said there were 7 dead, some say 10. Either way, regardless, it is a tragedy. And of course, the left and the left is, if we think the left is terrible here, it's even worse up in America's hat, Canada. The early reports, from the authorities up there. Well, you know what? Let's just listen to what they had to say, because it's not funny. It's obviously not funny. I mean, this is a tragedy. People died. The gunman was obviously sick and obviously mentally ill, which we'll get into. But listen to how they describe the person.
That includes the deceased gun person.
Okay. And then separately, do you know the gun person's relationship to
the gun person? So right there, you know where this is going. And I mean, I'm pretty sure everybody probably had the idea when we first heard about it that this was going to be that this was likely going to be someone obviously mentally ill and probably someone who was in the throes of some gender delusion. And of course, with the gun person description, I think that was, they made that abundantly clear right from the get-go. And so they're as they usually do, they mess with the vocabulary, and it becomes, when that vocabulary takes on that tone, the clarity completely gets lost in the mix. And the institutions like the police, like the government as a whole, they're trained to avoid, they're trained to sanitize. Well, they're trained to avoid the labels and the stigmatization, and they're trained to sanitize the language. And that's been going on for decades. Michael Knowles wrote a book about it. The title of the book escapes me, but it was all about how the left has controlling language, controlling mind, something like that. And it's all about how the left has redefined words and taken over the language. And that's exactly what we're seeing here. And the cost of that is confusion. And the policy that was designed to prevent offense, designed to prevent people from being offended, also will prevent honest communication. And of course, we see that. We saw that here. This gunman, this 18-year-old, I'm not going to say his name, but you'll be able to see it here on the screen in a second. He was a dude going through some mental illness. A boy who decided he wanted to be a girl for some reason. And his social media was just obviously cries for help. And it's a tragedy. It is a tragedy. This is a post from Redux, who's usually really good at reporting this stuff. He's a biological male, who identified as a girl back in 2023. Raised in a family that valued hunting and began learning how to shoot rifles when he was a kid, as happens all over the place in Canada and in this country. It's sad that we can't be honest about this type of thing. This tragedy could have been prevented, as most of them can. I mean, obviously, you can't anticipate everything, and the world we live in, the fallen world we live in, tragedies happen. But this didn't have to. And so we have that tragedy in Canada, and we'll see how that plays out in the coming days and weeks. But then it's indicative of a pattern. It's indicative of a pattern. We had the Nashville shooting. And in Canada, we don't know. We don't know if there was a manifesto. We don't know if there were any notes or any communication from this person outlining what they did or why they did it. But there's a much larger pattern that, for whatever reason, the left just refuses to acknowledge absolutely refuses to acknowledge. Like I said, we had the Nashville shooting. They withheld the manifesto. They were just ordered by a judge to release it, and I don't think it has been yet. And the fact that it hasn't, despite being ordered by a judge to do that, makes me think that we're not going to get the whole thing. But we had the Nashville shooting, and then we have, and I'm going to put this up here too, because there is a fantastic thread by someone on Twitter. Their name is the Final Telegraph. A fantastic thread that goes through all of these things, that talks about the pattern that we're talking about here today. And he talks about the Nashville massacre, Audrey Hale, and how the manifesto was buried. The STEM shooting in Colorado, also someone who identified as trans, as gender diluted. The Aberdeen Rite Aid shooting, another one. And so the pattern, the pattern is obvious. And anytime you bring that up, you say, well, that's not true. Anytime you bring that up, well, how many white males have committed mass shootings? It doesn't matter. That's the wrong that's the wrong phrase. Of course it matters. But in this context, we are talking about a pattern that is emerging. And the pattern is that these people who have been fed this lie that they were born in the wrong body, fed this lie that God somehow made a mistake, and then the medical community is giving them all these drugs, all these hormones, performing all these mutilations on these kids, and adults too. I mean, we shouldn't be allowing it for anyone, but especially children. But they're being fed this lie. And whenever you bring that up, they just dismiss that as some right-wing conspiracy or some such nonsense. And so we have that, the Colorado Springs, the Trans Day of Vengeance. Remember that? The Club Q shooting. Just and this thread goes through a whole litany of these things. And it's something that they refuse to acknowledge. And of course, because this happened this one happened in Canada, it's not just an America thing. It's not just a Western civilization thing. It's a global thing because it's happening all over the world. And it's the same pattern, the same reflex. And I don't understand how. Well, I take that back. I do understand how. Because the people who are enabling this stuff, A, they're getting paid, especially the medical community and their cronies and their pet politicians. They're all getting paid. And they just hate anything that stands for truth. Truth is anathema to these people. Isaiah 5:20 says, "Woe to those who call evil good and good evil, who put light for dark and dark for light, who put bitter for sweet and sweet for bitter. That's exactly what we're seeing. It's not a red state issue. It's not a Western culture issue. It's a fallen world sin issue. And the longer we let this go on, the worse it's going to get. And now there are signs that this trans ideology nonsense is on the downslide, and I am thankful for that. But they're not going to go down without a fight. They are not going to go down without a fight, and we have to stand there, stand in the gap, and beat this nonsense back. Because they have these policies that are built, designed to protect this stuff. And the institutions are either getting paid to hold that line, or they're afraid of being called some sort of ist or some sort of phobe. And that's led to the situation that we're in today. They want to say that clarity, that truth is cruel. They want to say that standards are somehow prejudiced. But these ridiculous policies should never, ever outrank truth. And if they want us to trust them, if they want us to believe that they have our best interests at heart, they need to treat every tragedy, they need to treat every lie the same way, but we know they're not going to. We know they're not going to, because that would eat into their bottom line, and that would eat into their power base and power structure, and they are not going to give that up without a fight. I want to stick with that, with this similar theme, but it's sorry about that. I want to stick with the similar theme, but it's different. It's not as tragic in a deadly way like the shootings, but it's tragic in in another way. There was a wrestling match back in December, and I just want you to take a look at this. Because the trans ideology movement that we're dealing with, that, like I said, maybe on the downswing, but it's still, like I said, it's not going to give up without a fight. It's putting people in danger, not just from the firearms aspect, not just from the shooting aspect, but take a look at this. And I know well, no, here we go. Yeah, there you go. Take a look at this.
Get to your base! Get to your base! Get to your base!
And the girl on the bottom she mouthed something to her mother, but her mother couldn't make it out. And what happened was that the person she's wrestling is a dude pretending to be a girl. And what happened was she was mouthing to her mother, "Her fingers are inside me." And she used some other colorful language to describe it, but you get the idea. The policy of allowing these people who just say that they're the opposite sex and just allowing them to compete, allowing them into these spaces is dangerous. I mean, that girl we witnessed a violent sexual assault on camera. But say it like it is, we witnessed a rape. Look up the definition and you tell me. Somebody always ends up paying the price. The bill always comes due. And this young girl paid that price. If the categories, male and female, don't mean anything, then the competition doesn't mean anything either. I hope the school's being accused of covering up the incident when the mother found out exactly what had happened, because obviously she was laughing at the time. She didn't know what was going on. But when she finally found out and they reported it, the school has been accused of covering it up. We're just hearing about this in February, and this happened in the beginning of December. The policies are hurting people. The policies are hurting women. And again, there's a pattern. There was, do I have this one? Yeah, let's take a look at this, because this is an incident that took place at a Planet Fitness. And we're going to listen to this person talk about it. This was, never mind, just watch.
Planet Fitness hates women. There is a video going around right now of a man jerking off in the women's bathroom locker room at a Planet Fitness. So I just walked into my local location where I've been a member of for a little bit now and just flat out asked them, do you allow men in the women's restrooms if they call themselves women? And they printed me out their company policy. I'll show it to you. All members, including transgender members, may use Planet Fitness locker room facilities, bathrooms, showers, and all other facilities and programs separated by sex based on their self-reported gender identity. Then it's not separated by sex, is it? And I said, cancel me immediately, and I was loud about it. And if you have any self-respect or if you have any respect for women, I hope that you all do the same thing, because this is fucked up.
I didn't catch that ending there, so I apologize for that. But she's not wrong. She's not wrong. And for those of you listening, on her video, she superimposed the video that the woman took, where you could see the shadow of the guy pleasuring himself. And nothing happened. As far as I could tell, nothing happened with this guy. And then, I mean, you could go down the list. We have Tish Hyman, saw a dude in the women's locker room in LA. I believe that was a Gold's Gym, and she got kicked out. Patricia Silva, another Planet Fitness, incident where she took a picture. Yeah, she took this picture. And she was kicked out and banned from Planet Fitness because she took a picture of this guy in the girls' locker room, the women's locker room. And I believe in this incident, there was a young 12-year-old girl also in there. I have yet to hear anyone make a case, make a legitimate case, make a cogent case as to why this is acceptable, and explain how this is not endangering women. Think about the guy who was pleasuring himself in that incident. What's to say he doesn't decide he needs to, well, we'll leave it at that. You get what I'm saying. This is, I pray that eventually we look back on what is happening right now, and I hope it doesn't take too long, but I pray that we look back on what is happening right now and wonder what mental delusion, what mass psychosis was going on that allowed people to think that this was okay. I mean, honestly, kids, 5-year-old kids understand this. And it wasn't that long ago when everybody understood this, and it wasn't even, it wasn't anything that people thought twice about. Men are men, women are women, boys are boys, girls are girls. They're separate, and let's move on. But now if you say, if you're a boy and you say you're a girl, well then, yeah, we're just gonna take you at your word at 5 years old and then do everything we can to make that happen and permanently destroy your life. And then when you're 18 and you realize you made a mistake, well, it's too late because the damage has been done and it's irreversible. These people are insane. The people who engage in this behavior, the adults anyway, they're insane. The kids are just kids, and their insane parents and doctors are facilitating this madness. And then when they grow up, if they don't come out of it and get a hold of it early enough, they're insane. And perpetual patience, feeding the beast, and getting these doctors and these politicians paid. But getting back to the original point, talking about equal access and competition. Who takes the brunt of this? When policies like this go into effect, who absorbs the trade-off? Well, I'll tell you. We talked about this person before. And let me just pull it up. I thought I had it. We talked about this person before, A.B. Hernandez. And this person is a kid, another kid. I believe he's 16 or 17 now. And he just won a major event in California, where Gavin Newsom said that this was inherently unfair, but he's still allowing it to happen. A.B. Hernandez just won the, I believe it was a triple jump, with a jump of 39 feet, 10 inches. And the girl who actually won, her jump was 39 feet, 3.25 inches. And the girl, Malia Strange, she beat her closest competitor by over a foot. So she's good. She should have been on that podium in first place. But a dude took her title. And now this same dude, this one right here, is also competing on the girls' volleyball team. And we just have to ask Peyton McNabb how that worked out for her. She's still, years later, suffering from the effects of getting spiked in the face by a dude. This is utterly insane. So I asked the question, who absorbs the trade-off? Girls like Malia Strange. All the girls who lost out on spots on college teams, all the girls who lost out on scholarships, all the girls who lost out on medals, which led to losing those scholarships and stuff like that. They're the ones who absorb the price. And the establishment just says, deal with it, train harder. Literally, people have said that. People have actually said, train harder. And I remember when one of the first stories, one of the most publicized stories a few years back, a girls' track team in Connecticut. One of the girls had a twin brother who was not an athlete, not training for anything. He didn't run track with her. He didn't play any sports. And he would routinely beat her whenever they raced. And she was training. But yet, when people object to this, automatically, they're seen as hostile. They're seen as transphobic. It's not about being phobic. Phobic is a misnomer anyway. Nobody's afraid. It's just, it's not right. And the truth is uncomfortable to these people. And so they have to lash out and call you all kinds of ists and phobes. This is about the safety and security of women. This is about fairness. There's no animosity involved. If fairness and standards bend to political pressure like this, the trust is going to bend with it, and nobody's going to trust anything. And the way things are going right now, nobody should. This is utterly insane. Utterly insane that we're even having this discussion, that it's even a thing. And the worst part is that when you look at some of these dudes competing with the women, it's almost universal. They were competing against boys and they were mediocre athletes. And they decide, hey, you know what? I'm going to wear a dress, say that I'm a girl, compete against these girls that I know I can beat and win. Ridiculous, utterly ridiculous. And I don't understand how this is even a thing. It really is mystifying. All right. You know what? Let's before I move on, let's go ahead and get into our sponsor for today's show. And I know we've done this. We've done this quite a bit recently, but Valentine's Day is coming up, so I want to make sure that we get you guys straightened out. Valentine's Day, as I said, is coming up, so get it right and head to carrygirl.com and get your stylish shirts and accessories that your wife or your girlfriend are gonna love and actually wear. And obviously now, today is the 12th, so you are short on time. So go ahead and get a gift card and let her choose. It is still an easy win. It's still an easy win. You still got time. Get yourself a gift card at carrygirl.com and make Valentine's Day count. You will not be disappointed, and neither will she. So go ahead and visit carrygirl.com today. And also, ladies, if you want to do the same thing, head over to 7armors.com and check out all the great designs that we have there for the fellas, and he will not be disappointed either. And finally, I want to make sure we mention the SHR Media Shop. If I can pull it up. Yeah, here we go. Check out the SHR Media Shop. It's not just merch. As I said, it is a statement. And in honor of the 250th anniversary of this great country, we have the 250 Reasons to Read Source Document shirt. That is an awesome design. Go ahead and get yourself one of those. And if you act today, you can get a 10% discount if you use the promo code if you use the promo code FREEDOM. Promo code FREEDOM will get you a 10% discount on this and all of the great merch that we have over there. You have Sackhead Sean's Edge of Liberty t-shirt. You got the mug, the hoodie, SHR Media logo tee, and all of the show tees. We got mine with Mission Ready Men, the Mission Ready Men briefing logo. BZ, the Berserk Bobcat Saloon, the Conservative Sherpa shirt, and the Reverb Common Sense. Go ahead and check out those great designs. You will, again, not be disappointed. And use the promo code FREEDOM, and you will get 10% off your order. All right, y'all. I am Big E, and you are watching and listening to the Mission Ready Men briefing on the SHR Media Network. where you can catch, as I just mentioned, our great lineup. Sackhead Sean with the Edge of Liberty every Monday and Wednesday at 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific. Jersey Joe, the Reaver of Common Sense, every Monday and Friday at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. And BZ with the Berserk Bobcat Saloon every Tuesday and Thursday at 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific. Please like and subscribe and share all of these great shows. And I just want to also say thank you to all of our listeners and followers. We crossed the 1,000 subscribers threshold, and we are steadily climbing. We are steadily climbing, and so the next goal is 2,000. So again, please be sure to like and subscribe, and share the channel, share the shows, and continue to pray for us that we continue this breakthrough that we're on. Like I said, we just hit 1,000, and we're looking for 2. So please check that out and help us reach as many people as we possibly can. And now back to the briefing. One of the things that that is near and dear to my heart and that we talk about quite a bit is the Second Amendment. And Hawaii, we've talked about Hawaii before. Hawaii is probably the most hostile state to the Second Amendment. And that's saying a lot when you consider what California does, what Illinois does, what Massachusetts does, what Virginia is trying to do. Virginia is trying to compete with Hawaii at this point. But there is a bill in Hawaii, Senate Bill 3039. And this bill is designed to make it completely impractical and completely onerous to carry a firearm for your protection. And it's hard to read on the screen, so I'm going to read it to you. SB 3039. The legislature finds that carrying a lethal firearm as the only means of defense often increases danger to the public. Public being assailants and the like, but I digress. Data demonstrates that lethal firearms intended to be wielded by a victim to defend themselves often end up being used against the victim or being used to kill another person. False. Other times, individuals using firearms in self-defense injure or kill innocent bystanders. Maybe. I haven't done a ton of research into that, but I don't think that's true either, because these people just lie. And so it goes on, but the crux of this is they are requiring in this bill. Let's see, Chapter 134, Hawaii revised statutes is amended by adding a new section, Part 1, to be appropriately designed to read as follows. Carrying a firearm requirement to carry an electric gun. A person with a license issued under Section 134-9 shall not carry a firearm on the licensee's person within the state without also carrying an electric gun on the licensee's person. So what they're doing is they are going to require you to carry a stun gun. If you carry a firearm, you also must, if this bill passes, carry a stun gun. Where to begin? If you're in a situation where you need to defend yourself with a firearm, I mean, think about this. Cops who have been trained in the force continuum, cops who have been trained in that often don't deploy their stun guns. And sometimes even when they do, somebody who's intent on doing them harm can walk right through that. And then they get hurt, especially if they're alone. If they have a partner with them, sometimes that will mitigate that issue. But the fact is, cops are trained in that, and it still ends up being a disaster. So imagine a civilian walking down the street, getting attacked, and then trying to use a stun gun, and the assailant just laughs. By that time, what do I always say? What do I always say at the end of the show? When seconds count, the police are only minutes away. When seconds count and you have to, and under stress, mind you, have to decide, okay, I'm going to use my stun gun first and hope and pray that it buys me time to get to my firearm, or hope and pray that it works and I don't have to use my firearm. Because in Hawaii, if you do, that's a whole other set of problems that you'll encounter. You'll be alive to encounter them, but it's still an expensive and onerous proposition nonetheless. So just imagine what that is like. And if you've ever been in a situation like that, you don't have to imagine, you know that trying to go from a stun gun to your firearm when someone's attacking you, unless you're a police officer who's trained in defensive tactics, that is probably not going to end well. And as we talked about before, even with police officers who are trained, it doesn't always end well. The Second Amendment recognizes your right to protect yourself with force. It doesn't grant you that right. We talk about this all the time. It doesn't grant rights. It recognizes and protects that right. And states like Hawaii, states like Virginia, California, Illinois, Massachusetts, they are doing everything they can to suppress that right. They're not there when the violence starts. They're not there when you're attacked. They're not there when someone comes up on you from behind. They're not there when any of this goes down. But yet they're going to tell you, yeah, when that happens, you need to go with a less effective means of protecting yourself first. And then if you survive, then maybe you can escalate to the most effective means of protecting yourself. These people, they hate you. I have said this many times. They hate you. They hate that you have rights because they believe that they should be the ones who administer your rights. They're the ones who get to tell you what rights you have, which when that happens, it's just privilege, a privilege. And in effect, They don't want citizens, they want subjects. They want subjects that they can control. Everything we talk about, everything we've talked about today is about control. And if they can control you, then they have all the power, which is what they want. Which is why the Second Amendment is such a problem for them. Because the Second Amendment represents independence from the government. It represents the rugged individualism that Mamdani railed against. And I'm not going to get a chance to talk about him today, but I got a story about Mamdani we're going to get to next week, hopefully. But this is the Hawaii's lost. It's that plain and simple. They're in the midst of a Supreme Court case right now, but they have been notoriously anti-gun. I think I heard a statistic once that I don't have I don't have it in front of me, so I could be wrong, but I heard a statistic that they have issued 3 permits to carry in like the last decade. And one of the ones that they denied was Tulsi Gabbard, who at the time was a representative from the state of Hawaii. They hate you. They hate you. They hate women. They just want subjects. But if this were to pass and somehow get past Supreme Court, get past the Supreme Court ruling, or if the Supreme Court even decided to take it up, it would normalize the idea that you need to carry not just your firearm, but a stun gun, a less lethal form of protection. And then it will tell you what you can and can't do and how you can and can't deploy that less lethal form of protection. And then what's to say that they won't tell you you have to carry something else and escalate from that to a stun gun to your firearm. And when you're in a violent situation like that, and you have to think about what you're going to do, how you're going to defend yourself, that split-second hesitation could cost you your life. And they don't care. That hesitation will make you vulnerable, and they couldn't care less. This is, and the other provision in that is that if you get caught carrying your firearm without the stun gun, they will take your license. And then you won't have anything. And this is Hawaii, so this is most likely going to pass. And they will use it. They will use it as a way to confiscate your firearms. This is a dangerous time. And we need to be, I know this is Hawaii I don't know how many listeners we have from Hawaii, but you need to stand up. stand up for your rights. I know those of us who are listening, we do that, but we need more. This is not about stun guns. This is not about less lethal forms of defense. This is not about the laws. This is about who decides who can survive. The Second Amendment does not exist so that the government can supervise how you choose to implement your survival techniques. It exists because you are the first responder in your own life. You cannot depend on the government. You cannot depend on the police. You have to depend on yourself. And they cannot stand that. They cannot stand that. They do not want you to be able to defend yourself and exist outside of their protection. And I use that word very loosely. As I've said many times today and in previous shows, they hate you. They hate you, and you better start recognizing that before it's too late. All right, let's move on. I talked about this last time, but some new information has come out, and I want to I want to talk about it again from the statistical perspective, from the numbers perspective. The left said that here we go. The left said that the halftime show at the Super Bowl was record-setting. They said that it was a cultural takeover. It was historic. It was dominant. It was massive. But the question is, compared to what? At the time, the initial numbers, that wasn't clear, but now we know. Nielsen reports that 125 million average viewers watched the Super Bowl, Super Bowl 60. And that's a slight dip from the previous Super Bowl, which I believe was somewhere around 133 million. And the peak of the game's average, because they average it by minute, the peak of the game's average was 137.8 million in the second quarter. And so what happened? Because they said that Lousy Rabbit, Sad Bunny, his halftime show had, where did it go? Oh, his halftime show had 126 million people, I believe, watching. But there was 137 million watching in the second quarter. And then it dipped. So where did those 10 million go? Well, those 10 million went to Turning Point USA's All-American halftime show. That is amazing. I know it doesn't sound like a lot in terms of those numbers, but we're going to get into why that's amazing in a second. But Sad Bunny, Lousy Rabbit, his halftime show didn't beat Kendrick Lamar's halftime show from last year. Kendrick Lamar drew 133.5 million viewers. And yeah, Sad Bunny, his was 128 million. So, and Sad Bunny, I'm sorry, Kendrick Lamar, his viewership at his halftime show surpassed the average viewers for the game itself. So Lousy Rabbit didn't set a new halftime record. It wasn't a breakthrough by any stretch. They just tried to reframe it. You can't break a record that belongs to someone else. Now, I said that Turning Point's show drew 10 million people. That is about what Lousy Rabbit's show, that is about what the drop in the audience from the Super Bowl to his halftime show. 10 million people decided to tune out, or 10 million viewers decided to tune out. We have no idea how many people were in these areas where when they switched over. And we may never know with any degree of accuracy what that number is. But the fact that 10 million people tuned out does not show the NFL's dominance by any stretch. It's fragmentation. It's an illustration of just how polarized we are in this country. They kept saying the halftime show was or the Super Bowl is supposed to unify us. It's supposed to be a unifying moment. If the halftime show truly unified the culture, the numbers would rise like they did with Kendrick Lamar last year. I don't know anything about Kendrick Lamar. I don't know, and I didn't even watch the show on YouTube, so I have no idea what it was. Don't really care. But it obviously did not unify anything. It polarized. It illustrated the polarization that we deal with, and then their numbers fell. It can't be cultural dominance when 10 million people decide to change the channel. So that scale matters quite a bit, because it means the audience was looking for something else. And if you look at the videos there are videos all over the place of people filming the stands, and there were a few people dancing and bopping along here and there, but for the most part, everybody was just waiting for the show to end, standing there like, what is going on? The NFL used to own the culture. It was the NFL what was an American icon, and it still is, but Roger Goodell is driving it into the ground in America. Now he's trying to expand it, obviously. That's what this is all about. He's trying to globalize the NFL. That's why they have games in all these other countries. And that's why they chose Lousy Rabbit as their halftime show. I had never heard of this guy. He's supposed to be this global superstar. I had never heard of him until this all kicked off. I mean, I'm on social media. I see some of the entertainment rags here and there. Never heard of him. But now all of a sudden he's supposed to be this global icon. I don't know, maybe I'm old, but I know who Taylor Swift is, unfortunately. I know who Kendrick Lamar is. And I knew who he was before the Super Bowl. I knew of him anyway. But now despite his efforts to globalize the NFL and stuff like that, the audience is fragmented. Whether you want to admit it or not, this episode proves that the audience is fragmented. When you have alternative streams that are available to watch, and 10 million people do, that's leverage. That's leverage. The NFL owns the game now. The Super Bowl used to own the moment, but they don't anymore. They don't anymore. And don't misunderstand. I'm not saying that the halftime show was a flop or a failure. Obviously not. Obviously not. And Turning Point USA's numbers, they could get revised down, possibly. I doubt it. Just knowing the way YouTube works, those numbers are probably going to continue to go up. But we can't, the NFL can't afford to just assume that that they still have the dominant position. The numbers show that there is some serious division in the ranks. And that should concern the NFL. And people are going to say, it was only 10 million and they had 128 million, blah, blah, blah. That's still 10 million. That's still 10 million. That's still leverage. And that still creates alternatives for halftime. Alternatives beyond the Puppy Bowl, alternatives beyond the Lingerie Bowl. That's 10 million viewers that were looking for something else. And that could persuade advertisers who cringe at the idea of spending $10, $20 million for a 30-second to a minute ad on the Super Bowl. That could spur some of these advertisers to seek out cheaper alternatives, cheaper means of getting their wares out there. 10 million people, 10 million viewers is 10 million viewers. You can't just find 10 million viewers anywhere. And if they can cut their advertising budget in half and still get millions of eyes on their products, a lot of businesses will do it. And some businesses, some of the huge ones, can do both. Whether or not that's worth it is another discussion, but I mean, this is something that the NFL is going to have to figure out. And it's not just TP USA, other entities, other groups could decide, you know what, let's give it a shot. Let's jump in. TPUSA already announced they're going to do another one next year. And they're going to have, they have the whole year now to plan it. They threw this together in a matter of months. They have a whole year now to get a venue, to get the production right, to get the artists lined up. And depending on who the NFL decides to choose, they could see another 5 million eyes on their product next year. And then the NFL will really be in a pickle. And I can't wait. I still don't watch the Super Bowl. I still don't watch the NFL. I won't. But that is going to be entertaining to watch. So yeah, the framing that they had with Lousy Rabbit is it's again, it's a pattern that you recognize. They will try to gaslight you into believing what is not true. Sad Bunny didn't surpass Kendrick Lamar. The halftime audience didn't grow. It shrank. And when millions of people leave the biggest stage to seek out alternatives, that's a problem. That's a problem they're going to have to address. And they think that they have this cultural dominance, and they don't. You can't just declare cultural dominance. Cultural dominance is measured. And the measurement this time around is not in the NFL's favor. And I'm here for it. I am here for it. All right. I got we got about 18 minutes left, and I got a couple of quick things I wanted to get to. Someone we haven't talked about in a while is Joy Reid. And Joy Reid said something utterly ridiculous. And it's so ridiculous that I can't believe she actually said it with a straight face. But let's take a listen to this and watch this, because this is amazing. This is absolutely amazing.
I will say that at MSNBC, the artist formerly known as MSNBC, the one thing I will give them credit for is that because we were tied to NBC News, all the outrage was tied to journalism. We weren't allowed to just get up there and lie. We had a standards and practices department. So if we just had a feeling that Trump was a bad guy, we couldn't just get up there and say that. We needed to actually have evidence. We needed to have something to say that was journalistically based. Then we could say what we were going to say, but it had to be based on journalism. Fox doesn't have that. They don't have a standards and practices department. They can just get up there and say Bill Clinton is the devil, and they don't even have to back that up. I will say.
She really just said that MSNBC couldn't just get up there and lie, when that was all they did. She said Fox can get up there and say that Bill Clinton is a devil. That was what they were saying for years about Trump. And I assure you, Fox News has a standards and practices department. They have a legal department. They can't just get up there and say whatever they want. I mean, it should go without saying, but they can't. And the thing is, you don't hear very often about Fox retracting statements. You hear about it with MSDNC, or BS Now as it's known. It happens on CNN, it happens on ABC, especially with those harpies on The View. And I'm not saying it never happens on Fox. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm saying you hear about it a lot less on Fox than you hear about it from these other outlets. So who's really got the standards and practices down and the legal department down? And this from the woman who, a decade ago, had a blog where she had all kinds of homophobic rants. And she's going to get up here and say, we had journalistic integrity. Come on. That is demonstrably false. Demonstrably false. Oh, something else I wanted to get to. Pam Bondi. She was testifying in front of Congress. And I have my issues with Pam Bondi. I have a lot of issues with Pam Bondi. I personally don't think she should have been nominated as Attorney General. I think she's problematic. I think she's anti-Second Amendment. And I think she's been ineffective as the Attorney General. But her testimony in front of Congress yesterday was extremely entertaining. Extremely entertaining. She let Jamie Raskin have it. She let Ted Lieu have it. But this is actually one of my favorites right here. This is her going up against one of the dumbest members in Congress, Dan Goldman.
Understand the extent of Donald Trump's lies about his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein.
You're about as good of a lawyer today as you were when you tried to impeach President Trump in 2016. Have you apologized for that in 2019?
So will you unredact this? Will you
were
unredact
lead
this?
counsel on that. Privileged.
I'm asking you, will you unredact this?
Privileged.
Privileged, of course. I look forward to discussing this more. Now, these are obviously improper redactions.
And let me stop for a minute.
I'm talking. I'm
if they're
talking.
not privileged,
quiet.
Don't yell at me. If they're not
Mr. Chairman, would you stop the clock? This is on your time. It's not on Mr.
If
Gomez.
they're not
Even though
privileged,
you used your improper redactions,
you'll like my answer.
to
If we
continue
review
to
them and they're not
protect
privileged,
Donald
Time belongs to the
we
member.
will be happy to release them.
We'll
after
stop the
review.
clock. We'll stop the clock. Time belongs to the member.
Here we go. Here's the photograph. This is why he wanted to repeat everything that had been said previously on Epstein. This is his state, New York. You probably don't even know who this is. Wahid Mohammed from Afghanistan.
yes, because I'm no longer a prosecutor.
Convicted of assault. Wow, he represents New York. Wow, yet he doesn't care about the illegal aliens convicted of crimes. Assault and homicide.
Wow. That was that was amazing. He said because he's not a prosecutor, he doesn't know what's going on in New York. I mean, her wow was pretty much the only thing you could say. Dan Goldman, as I said, one of the dumbest members of Congress. But I actually want to move on to someone who I think is, well, I don't know. Swalwell may give him a run for his money, but I think I'm going to go with this guy as the absolute dumbest. And so there you go. Ted Lieu. I think he's even dumber than Swalwell. Here we go.
I believe you just lied under oath. There is ample evidence in the Epstein file.
Don't you ever accuse me of a crime.
I believe you just lied under oath, and this is all on videotape. You said there's no evidence of crime. I'm showing you, here is a witness statement who called into the FBI's Threat Operations Center. He drove Donald Trump around in a limo. He overheard.
That statement has been thoroughly debunked. It is not evidence. Hence why I say Ted Lieu is one of the dumbest people in Congress.
Donald Trump said to Jeffrey on his cell phone, he was so angry he was going to stop a limo and hurt Donald Trump. And he met a girl who said she was raped by Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein. She later had her head blown off, and officers at the scene said that could not have been suicide.
As I said, thoroughly debunked, and Ted Lieu just humiliated himself in Congress. These people are cretins. We need to throw every single one of them out. But of course, he's a Democrat. They are going to vote for him no matter what. There's there's one other one I want to get to. And you know what? Let's just go ahead and do it. Let's just do it, because this was, as dumb as Ted Lieu is, this is one of the dumbest things I have seen in quite some time. In quite some time. This is a sheriff who was testifying in North Carolina. And just listen to this.
Constitutional office. My colleague made reference that there are constitutional divisions amongst responsibilities between us and you. What branch of government do you operate under?
Mecklenburg County.
What branch of government do you operate under, Sheriff?
Notice the pause. This guy has no clue.
Constitution of the United States.
Correct. That is what establishes the branches of government. I'm asking which branch you fall under.
Mecklenburg County. I'm a duly sworn Mecklenburg County Sheriff. We answer to the people of Mecklenburg County.
This was not where I was anticipating getting stuck. Are you aware of how many branches of government there are?
No.
How does an elected sheriff not know the most basic civics question? And he said it with such gusto. No, I don't.
Okay.
Unbelievable.
For the sake of debate, I will move.
And this guy, he doesn't even know where to go with this.
On and say there are three branches of government: legislative, executive, judicial. Of those three, which do you believe you fall under?
I believe I fall under the last one.
Would you say it to me?
Judicial.
Okay. You are incorrect, sir.
Wow.
You fall under the executive.
What do you say to that? I mean, this was obviously, he may have been a great cop. I don't know. I kind of have my doubts because you have to have some kind of intelligence and some kind of knowledge of the Constitution. And he clearly doesn't. So there's that. This was, just based on this was a DEI hire for sure. For sure. Because he doesn't belong in that office. He does not belong in that office. That I feel for the people of Mecklenburg County. I really do. We can argue about tone. We can argue about language, DEI, optics, but you cannot argue with reality forever. You can suppress it. You can rename it. You can shame people for acknowledging it. But there are some things that are just objectively true. Men cannot become women. Women cannot become men. There are biological differences. Men are bigger, stronger, faster. Those things are just objectively true. And eventually, when you ignore that reality, when you ignore that truth, the consequences are going to show up and knock down your door. They are not going to ask politely. Standards matter. Boundaries matter. Truth matters. And reality always collects. That bill always comes due, and reality always collects. All right, y'all, that is it for this briefing. We are not here to just opine. We are here to equip Christian men and spread the gospel of Jesus Christ and carry the banner of faith, freedom, and hope into the next generation. If any of what I said matters to you, please don't just watch. Share this episode, share the channel, help us reach that 2,000 subscriber goal that we can see. It took us a long time to get to where we are, but we can see the light at the end of the tunnel, and we are looking forward to it. So please help us get there. And again, don't just watch, but share it. Again, bring other men into this fight. And if you want to wear what you stand for, head over to missionreadymen.com, click Shop 7 Armors, and check out all of our great designs. And head over to the SHR shop as well. Use promo code FREEDOM and get 10% off of all the great designs that we have at the SHR shop. Just go to shrmedia.com and you'll see the shop right there, and you can check out everything that we have over there. And remember, when seconds count, the police are only minutes away, but the Lord is right there with you. So keep your prayers going up and your head on a swivel. God bless.